fault and that's not your fault. Now, if
Yeah.
she's got a different story to say about it, that's recorded on a computer that's in Rawlins, Wyoming, though, and the reason for that is because it's got evidence that police officers in Rawlins, Wyoming did wrong. So the matter of getting that back, as soon as I have that back, and I don't know how long that's going to be actually, but I'm doing the best that I can. When I have that back, I'll send you the conversation that I had with Jamie as well.
One of the reasons I want to get a hold of you is in one of your videos you said you had a video saved in YouTube about them saying that stuff about me. All I was going to do, Sean, is I was going to confront Jamie with that so I can ask her, because there's no lying when she's the one saying it, you know what I mean? And then that was going to do, I guess that'd be almost good for both of us, because like she even put on Facebook today, there's that video I was telling you about of you. She put a comment on there basically saying, you're a fucking liar, everything that you said is untrue. And like I said, this is all of her.
Yes, sir.
Saying this stuff about you.
Well, as far as
this is what I've got the entire time, is that you're just making shit up. You're just trying to cause problems between us. And I was just going to give you the benefit of the doubt. Like I said, you haven't really done me any wrong other than a couple of these videos, but I'm trying to talk through it without, getting upset. There has been a couple times that I would rather strangle you than talk to you.
Right.
Because of what was said on some of these. But I was going to give you benefit of the doubt if I could get those videos for you, confront Jamie, and then she was going to owe me a fucking apology, and then she can owe you an apology and see if you can get that out of her.
No, that's not going to happen, and you know it.
Sure. And then I was going to ask you if you would take the videos that you talked about me down, if you would, please.
Well, there's over 1,000 videos, but I can start going through them, and I can tag them as private so that they're not public anymore. The fact that I slandered your name is pretty fucked up of me. It's something I feel bad about, and if you choose to take me to court for it, I want to be able to have that saved because I did it. I mean, I literally fucking slandered your name. It was fucked up of me to do, and I don't believe in destroying evidence of my wrongdoing or anybody else's.
But, the whole thing is, that's why I tried to talk. I mean, if I really wanted to, if it was like that big of a deal, I suppose I could have got a lawyer and had him taken down off of YouTube through YouTube as slander. But I figured I could just talk to you and it'd just be easier. Then we just don't have to deal with the lawyers, the law. You know what I mean? You just don't have to deal with that kind of stuff.
Yes, sir. As far as your number goes, I did ask her for your number while I was up there. She told me that she would give you my number the day that I left, actually.
Oh, so, yeah, no, I just got your number today.
Yeah. So it's been like 2 weeks ago that she said she would give you my number. She was all sorts of pissed off, too, and screaming and shouting, but, that's kind of to be expected. She screams a lot when she doesn't get what she wants.
Oh, yeah. But, as far as if I was beaten and shot, why would she stick around for 9 years? I mean, she had all the chance in the world to get away from me when she was in Chapel, Nebraska, and I moved up here for a year.
Yeah, and see, what she told me is that everything was fine while you guys were in Chapel, but once you got her separated from everybody, you changed. But see, the thing is, with all of that, it just so happened to be right around the same time that Natalie disappeared. Now, Lana and Amanda Engeline told me that Jamie was the one who was complaining about the comments on YouTube that got me banned at least 3 times. And there were comments about you. One of them I had made on one of the websites or one of the Facebook groups that I had made. It's called Trash to Treasures and Airplane Enthusiasts. And one of them was on my Facebook page where I had said that I was pissed off at myself because I couldn't bring myself to kill you. Because, I mean, when I was up there, not the time right before Natalie, well, actually it would have been the time right before Natalie died. But I was up there, I was injured, I was literally walking everywhere, and she was telling me how afraid she was of living in the same town as you, and that she didn't have a better place to go, and she was liking her job, though, at the cement factory, and I had messed up my foot during that trip, and I had been trying to get a hold of people to try to help put a stop to the, because before Natalie was killed, I mean, it started off as Natalie was suicidal, all right? When I went to visit her, I was invited. She was suicidal, and she tried to kill herself. And so I made sure that I kept my word to go see her, and we were in contact. And when I got there, like, it turned out that she was still using heroin, and I was like, I don't want to be around that. I had a tattoo kit that I had ordered that was on its way. It was a birthday present, and I had to call up the people that were sending it and say, hey, don't send it. I don't want her to spend it to get all junked out of her mind. And then when I got back to Boulder, Colorado, which is where I know her from, which is where I rescued her and her sister and a lot of other people from. They had spread a rumor to a girl named Maddie Boa, who knew that we had planned the trip together because she was going to go with us. And Maddie Boa didn't end up going. She got busted selling methamphetamines. So when I got back to Chapel, Miss Maddie was a meth salesman, and she had already told all of her customers that I had threatened Natalie and her family, which is not the case. I got stuck out in the middle of the road because I was dehydrated, and I started being dehydrated on my birthday. So, by the time I left there, I'd already been dehydrated for 5 days, having a panic attack for 5 days. I mean, I'm majorly freaking out. Plus, with all the friends that I had lost in the last month, I had a lot of friends die that month, because, in Virginia, it's hot as fuck, but in Colorado and Nebraska and Washington State, it's cold as fuck that time of year. So, it was a really fucked up situation. And, right after she died, I needed to be able to communicate with people and let people know what was going on before I had my name completely slandered and was prevented. Exactly everything that happened is what I was afraid of having happen. And, with everything with you, do what? Yes, with everything that happened with me and with Natalie and all of that, all of the people that I was able to contact were on Facebook, and all of those Facebook bans pissed me off. And while Seth was being a little douchebagger to me, I really didn't want to deal with that. I was trying to find a killer, and I was trying to prove my innocence as far as that goes, and he's just been a little cockfuck. Now, as far as the fucking saying that stuff about you, I don't like being antagonized. Nobody does. I also don't like being played, so I'd rather get it out in the open and get it fucking taken care of. And I'm sorry for the sounds, but I'm crushing up a popsicle because I can't eat it with my teeth. Or with no teeth.
Yeah, no, I gotcha. So, basically, if you noticed, I haven't ever, confronted you or said anything on social media about you at all.
I've never actually looked.
Never tried to antagonize you? Well, I haven't. You can look all you want. There's nothing out there.
I believe you.
There's absolutely nothing. You won't find anything that happens.
As far as all that went, as far as all that went, with what was going on up there this time around, literally, she was going to take me up the mountain so that I could die. That was the point while I was up there. She was going to drive me up the mountain so I don't have to deal with this anymore. All of this stuff with Natalie, the fucked up things the police did, it's not something that anybody should have to go through. And, when...
I agree with that.
With those Facebook bans, I really needed to be able to communicate with people before all this slander happened and before my name was completely trashed by the media. I needed to be able to defend myself and show what little evidence that needed to be shown at that point in time. And since then, a lot of it has been stolen. A lot of the stuff that happened with Natalie's stepmothers and all of that was on telephones. And those telephones were lost, and that's where most of my evidence needed to be. It's because with all those Facebook bans, I was forced to use telephones, which meant if I didn't have a telephone, I was screwed and didn't have any communication. And, it was, when I was going off about you right after Natalie died, the only things going through my mind is the things that Jamie had told me and the fact that I was scared shitless that you would hurt her because of the things that she had told me. And as far as being on Facebook bans, I mean, by the time I was finally off a Facebook ban, I was fucking pissed off because I had been assaulted, like literally between the time that I was assaulted by Officer Whale and Lolatai and when Natalie disappeared, there's like a week and a half of time in there, and I'd been assaulted at least 15 times in that period of time. The police officers weren't fucking doing a damn thing about it, and I was more focused on trying to find Natalie's killer and clear my fucking name than I was in arguing with Seth or any of that bullshit. Now, as far as Jackie goes, Jamie told me that anytime that I talk about Jamie, that Jackie gets a hold of her and lets her know. And Jackie is still on my Facebook. I have a lot of respect for her, no matter how fucked up she is or how many times she screws up, because she's still... I mean, shit, dude, I met her when she was 9. I was the first person outside of her family that she met in Chapel, Nebraska. So, I mean, having her spy for Jamie, I don't care. I don't hide anything. If I did something wrong, I admit I did something wrong. If I took something wrong, I admit I took something wrong. And if somebody lies to me, I admit that I was lied to. I also believe in giving everybody the chance to defend themselves. And as far as you went, and as far as I went, I didn't get to defend myself with you, and you didn't get to defend yourself with me. And you know what? You're absolutely right. That is fucked up. Instead of just taking Jamie's word for it, I should have found a way to get a hold of you. And believe it or not, I've attempted on multiple times to figure out how to get a hold of you since we had that conversation last year. Like I said, I was only setting it on the back burner until all that stuff with Natalie was done and taken care of. The problem is the stuff with Natalie never ended up getting done and taken care of. I'm still dealing with it. Matter of fact, I even took to...
Yeah, because I remember last year I told you, whenever you were done with that, you come up this way, we'll have that sit down and talk.
Exactly, and you know, I said that in the video too.
I remember clearly, that is what I said, right?
Absolutely, and that was the plan.
Sit down and talk?
Yep. But yeah, you can, on several YouTube videos, not mine, it was actually on other people's YouTube videos about Natalie, which where Seth was bashing me. So, I started arguing with him, and he brought her onto my YouTube channel, which, you know, I'm fine with it. If we're going to argue, we're going to argue. I'd rather have it be where it's easy for me to access instead of having to dig through old stuff to find the stuff that he was saying. But that's the thing, is that, I mean, this is all something that players want to keep the people they're playing from talking to each other. So you and Mark Harmon and myself, you know, basically not talking to each other is to her advantage. I get that. I get to speak to some police on Thursday here in Chapel about a couple other situations. Hopefully that'll help me to get the ball rolling to get that other computer back. The one that's in Wyoming, the police still have it in Wyoming. The lawyer there said that they still have it in property and evidence, whereas what they had told me is that they were going to, and I have this on my court paperwork too that I have with me. No, actually it's over at Stegeman's house, but it says specifically that they were going to send it to Colorado because they were claiming that I had admitted to crimes that I hadn't admitted to. I was telling them about stuff that was already done and over with, and the fact that I was forced to break the law in order to defend myself against the police and against the Bollinger family. And since then, Ted has actually proven everything that I said about him, and Alicia has proven everything that I said about her. The things I said about Clearview has been in the news for. Ted Bollinger has been in the news for the things that he did. Officer Waylon Lolatai has been in the news. That's the one that had assaulted me last January. So, I mean, all this stuff is documented. I wasn't telling bullshit stories. It's just nobody cared when they did it to me because of all the fucking slander against me before Natalie was killed. Like, literally, I've done everything in my power to try to get a court date while being shut off by police every step of the way. And in order to get the stuff against the Bollingers and the stuff against the people who are threatening my life, I have to get the police to actually listen. And the police aren't going to listen as long as that crap is on my record that shouldn't be there. And the only reason that crap is on my record is because they refused to take a report to begin with, and I had to defend myself in unconventional ways. That was before Natalie died. After she died, they did everything in their power to make sure that, you know, no matter what they did wrong doesn't come to light. As far as the whole Jamie with Todd Harmon thing, and while I was up there, she was telling me that, you know, she's just trying to keep you away from there because she doesn't want us to fight, and I fucking hate fighting. I always did. So, I mean, it wasn't even like that. She just was saying that you wanted to meet with me so you could kill me, and those were her exact words.
I don't know.
That was her reasoning for not giving me your phone number.
Sean, well, I guess what would have changed between last year I talked to you and this year? The only thing that's changed now, like I said, is you put more videos out. But
Yep.
other than that was just your reason. So what would have changed to make me, you know, want to do that? You know what I mean? Like, nothing's changed. I already talked to you about it. You stopped putting videos out there about me.
She said you were just being nice because you wanted to get me basically alone, but that's the thing, is that it doesn't make any sense. If you wanted to get me alone, why would you want to get me alone to kill me if you're having her be there? It doesn't make any sense. That's kind of like the thing with me supposedly stalking Natalie, is that I tried to get somebody to go with me to be a third person, and I tried to meet in a public area, and my suggestion with Natalie was to go down to the police station. She just didn't want the fact that she was on heroin being brought up to the police. And the thing with her dad, I mean, her dad literally, I'll send you that email too, just because I'm that kind of an asshole, but yeah, Natalie literally went through that shit. The stuff that I said about her whole situation wasn't bullshit, and the stuff that Jamie had to say wasn't bullshit. Matter of fact, I would recommend calling Hayden McCall and getting a hold of Otska and finding out what they have to say. Chris Stegman hates you.
I know JC won't talk to me. JC won't talk to me because I started dating James. Because I know that they all had a thing for James. I realize that.
Did you know I didn't?
Like, my thing is, Sean, me and Jamie dated forever. I mean, Jesus, if I was that bad of a person, why the hell did she leave me after a couple of years instead of, the hell did we date for like 9 years?
She said that she felt trapped, and that was her words, that she didn't have anywhere else to go. And with Todd and all that, like, she's got enough dudes that have crushes on her. If she really needed a place, she could find a place to go. I mean, when she asked Clyde McNitt to help her pay for that place, and Trevor as well, and to co-sign for it, like, I'm pretty sure both of those guys offered her a place to stay. It just wasn't where she wanted to be.
Yeah. Because, like, my thing is no, I broke up with her, right? And then she lived here for another 2 months, and I told her, do not worry about, you don't have to pay for utilities, don't worry about nothing. No rent, no nothing. So she could get her place.
How many times did she hit you over all that night? Because, like, literally, that was her first night in the new apartment, and I was busy rescuing an owl while that was going on. Like, did she hit you in the face?
You're asking me how many times she hit me?
Yep. Was it just once, or did she hit you a few times?
No, she hit me just the one time. And she was trying to break me. She actually told me she was trying to hit me in the nose to break my nose. And she missed, and she hit me in the side of the cheek. Like, just to the, it would be on my left side, just to the left of my nose.
So she was the one that instigated the violence.
Pushed her away from me. Do what?
I literally made a video earlier today about that exact scenario because of Jackie with Sean and because of several other situations where women had beat on men and then the men were the ones who got arrested. In situations where I specifically know of it. So it's not beyond the realm of possibility to me at all that she would do something like that.
Because honestly, I bet you if you ask anybody else, other than apparently her, anybody that dated, nobody's going to tell you how to date it. But, you know, actually the last person that I raised a fist to was actually her brother, and that was last year, because her brother hit her in the eye and gave her a black eye, and I went over there, and I showed him what it felt like to get hit in the face.
Oh, she told me he did that. She was showing me pictures of that. She was showing me, I said she was showing me pictures of that, but she said she was the one that gave him a black eye.
Fuck no. That's because she called me crying and said that her brother hit her, knocked her down, and hit her in the face. And because I had family over here, I had John, Seth was here? No, Seth was not here, he moved. It was John, William was here. And I left. I went right over there because you could have silence. Because on my way out, I gave the buddy a hug, and I left. But I grabbed Nathan, put him on the ground, and I hit him 3 times in the face. On the right side.
Well, as far as everything that they told me, here, give me a second. I'm trying to, because I was listening to your story and I had something to say, and I actually forgot what I was going to say because I wanted to pay attention to you. They were both, like last time, they were pretty gung-ho about how terrible a person you were and how violent you were and how afraid of you they were and things of that nature. And then this time around, they said that it wasn't your fault because you were having hormonal changes from supplements and that you had to take shots every month for it now and a whole bunch of stuff like that. And basically saying that it was all right that you beat on them because you were having hormonal issues. And I was like, no, that doesn't make it okay. If he's got hormonal issues, that still doesn't make it okay to hit you. Now, if he's taking drugs that are really messed up and messing with his head, that could do it. That makes perfect sense to me, and that's more than reasonable, because I've been in that situation where I've had people insist that I take medications that were definitely no good for me, especially if they're injected. But, I mean, the thing is that at that point, I'm like, you know what, if he's really this bad guy who's beating on you, and now you're making excuses for him because of a hormonal issue, I mean, that's the thing, is that it basically, they were playing it out as something that it wasn't, and that's a really fucked up situation for me to be in, first of all, and it's also a messed up situation for you to be in.
That's actually like a super recent thing. Nobody actually really needs to know about that. That's my personal business, and that has nothing to do with, like, anything that I was on. I've never taken steroids. I've never taken anything like that. I've taken supplements, but you can classify as all sorts of shit as supplements. But that's not what causes. That's just, I'm just getting older. That stuff starts, your testosterone starts to decline when you get older. That's just the way of life. But they fucking weren't even living here whenever I did that stuff. Like, as far as went in and got checked. And it had nothing to do with being upset. It was because I was tired all the time. And it was all I could do to get out of bed and go to work. And I just finally got checked, and that's what they told me. It's just like testosterone was going down.
I'm glad you're able to go see a doctor.
I take shots, but... What?
I said I'm glad you were able to go see a doctor. The thing is, they...
Well, sure. I mean, I'm all about fitness and making sure that, you know, I'm healthy. I mean, geez, you know that.
Yes, sir.
But it had nothing to do with changing my attitude. It was all about just the way I felt. So they're fucking high when they say, she is high as a kite.
Well, I know she's had a lot of issues with meth in the past, but while I was up there this time, I didn't really see any signs of that at all.
Oh, no, sorry. I was saying that she's high as a kite as a, not that I was serious like that, like, it's just an expression.
Sorry, I'm autistic. I don't always get it as just an expression. Most of them I'm able to catch on to that way. I've just never heard someone use high as a kite as just an expression. I guess that's kind of like when somebody's being an asshole and you say, you're on fucking drugs, dude. Like, you don't necessarily know that they're on drugs or not. They're just saying something so completely absurd that it fucking registers that they might be. Like that kind of thing?
Yeah. So, yeah. That's all I would do. I wouldn't think she was actually doing drugs.
Alright. Because, like, she really did seem sober this time.
Do what?
I said, because she really did seem sober this time.
Yeah, because she needs to. Okay. The thing is like, I know a lot of shit and a lot of the ways that she treated me throughout our relationship. And, like, I could bring up a lot of stuff how there was more abuse towards me from her, but like I said, that's our stuff. We're not together now. And the whole me beating her, I mean, I'm just trying to get that handled because you're telling people that she said this. She's telling other people she didn't say it. She's telling me that you're just doing it because we were dating. That you're just jealous because we were dating. I'm just trying to get solved. That's why I was just trying to get the videos. I'm just trying to confront her. Because that's, you know what, that's the easiest way.
Yes, sir. And I'm totally down with that.
Because how is she gonna tell me that she didn't say that? If you give me a video with her saying that.
Well, that's the thing is, right now the only two videos that I have were the ones from the boy. The one where because I was in Tacoma, Washington earlier this year, and I spoke with her on the phone while I was in Tacoma, Washington on another computer, the one that was stolen in Rawlins, Wyoming, and that computer is the one that has the conversation with Jamie on it. So that's the one that I'm going to need to get back for you to be able to confront her about it. And like I said, I'm trying to get that. I have a lady who's willing to go down with me to talk to the police because they haven't been willing to take a report from me except when somebody goes in with me. And somebody's only gone in with me once. So I'm hoping, she said she'll go in there with me on Thursday of this week, and hopefully that'll get the ball rolling. As soon as I get that other computer back, I will make sure, and I'll write it down. I mean, I have 10,000 notes written, but I'll make sure that I write it down, and I'll put it underneath a piece of tape, and that way I can stick it to my computer so I see it every day. When I get my other computer back, it'll remind me that that's one of the first things that I need to do is send you that video.
Okay. Because, I asked her how long you were here in town when I found out. And she's like, oh, he just got here the other day. That's what she told me. That's what she told me how long you were in town.
And that's after you found the video? Because I was there for about 2 weeks, 3 weeks, somewhere around there.
Well, because Seth is the one who told me about the video. Okay. And then I heard the one about the phone call. Like,
yep.
With her, you recording her over a phone call.
Yep.
And then that's how I figured out that you were here in town. It's because that's just what she basically said that she'll be over in 10 minutes, so where else would you be but at her place, right?
Yep.
So I drove over there and missed you by like 30 minutes.
Yeah, I've been there for almost 3 weeks.
I asked her. No, because like, I went back and looked at your videos, some of your videos for like 2 weeks.
You saw the kayak? Yeah. Well, like, the very first day that I got there...
Orange kayak?
Yeah, the orange kayak, yep. Well, the thing is, the very first...
Anywhere because I'm the one who hung it up there.
Yep. The very first day that I got there, like, as I was getting off the bus, you remember I was telling you about Natalie, right? Like, when she went missing, the most important thing was finding her safely. And her sister, it's a very similar situation. Her sister went through Oklahoma and Kansas on a high-speed chase with her dad with drugs in the vehicle and paraphernalia and things like that. And then the police took her to the hospital, and then they took her to... I'm not sure if you know anything about Kansas. But
I know very little. It's not my favorite. It's not my cup of tea to go to Kansas.
Alright, well, I guess you'd have to be from Kansas for me to explain that she was at the Napa Motel in Wichita, which is a really bad place for her to be, and that's the last place that she was seen, and then she ended up missing. And, like, that was my very first day. I hadn't even talked to Jamie, and that was, you remember when that blizzard came through, and it was snowing sideways, and it was cold as a fucking cast iron commode on the shady side of an iceberg?
Wait, when was this?
This is like 3 weeks. That was like 3 weeks before before Seth let you know about the video, and there was that video with Jamie calling me. It was about 3 weeks before that.
Oh, okay, yeah, that. Okay, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, so they locked down the bus station, and my bus left, and I was trying to make videos while my fucking fingers and my face were freezing, because Natalie's sister was missing. And the worst part is, like, with Natalie, I knew what she was messing around with, and with the heroin, and with her dad being a child molester and shit like that. Like, it was a really fucked up situation. So with her sister and the situation there, I was even more afraid. And while I was still there at the bus station, like, I was trying to find out as much as I could. At first, I thought she was missing in Colorado, and then I found out she was missing from Kansas, and then I found out about the high-speed chase, and everything else. And, like, literally, Alicia should be in jail with her dad because of what happened there. And also because they have internal possession laws in Kansas, she should have been arrested for that. But they let her go because she's a pretty white girl. And I'm sure you're well aware of, most people get that. Unless they're complete assholes who think that all men are misogynistic woman beaters. And that's what...
Sure, because, women get away with all sorts of shit like that.
Yeah, I do.
For being pretty, like, speeding tickets, shit like, you know what I mean?
I do. I also know that when it comes to the courts, if a woman is pissed off about something, then she'll often use something like that in order to win for custody or things of that nature. Like I said, I posted a video about all that earlier today. I've also been posting videos about that since before Natalie left, because I know so many guys who have gone through that, where a woman uses, this man is terrible, he